Morning, everybody. Nice to see you all on this Monday, November 2nd. Welcome to our weekly Downtown SLO Response and Recovery call. We started doing these calls in the beginning of the shutdown, and we've kept doing them now for, about going on 8 months. My name is Bettina Swigger. I am the CEO of Downtown SLO, and we have a number of guests on this call, and we'll be talking about a variety of things going on that are directly affecting downtown, your business, and our community. So thank you for being here this morning. I hope you're all feeling refreshed with the extra hour of sleep and the brighter mornings. I know I appreciated that this morning when I woke up. So we'll go ahead and get started, and hello out there to you if you're watching on Facebook. I had a call this morning bright and early with members of the International Downtown Association, and it was really an interesting call this week. There are bi-weekly now meetings of CEOs of all of the different downtown business improvement districts, property business improvement districts across the US. And this morning we had two very robust conversations about one about diversity and inclusion, especially how that plays out in our boards of directors. And that's something that I think we'll all be needing to think about, especially as we move into the election season for our Downtown SLO board. We will be soliciting nominations for that, for positions on the board starting next month, and a nominating committee has started on the board for that. The other thing that we talked about, which probably should come as no surprise to you, was safety in our districts as we head into a very interesting week with the election ending tomorrow and the results coming in over the week. And again, I love being a part of these groups because we get to hear a really wide array of experiences. So what's happening in San Luis Obispo is not the same as what's happening in Atlanta or what's happening in downtown LA. And this morning I was in a breakout group with representatives from Atlanta, Seattle, Charlotte, and downtown LA. And in Atlanta, there are no boarded up buildings. They're not really preparing very much at all, other than maybe having a little bit more of a police presence. In Seattle, a lot of the buildings have been boarded up for a long time, and some boards were going up again in Los Angeles. The representative from one of the bids in LA was the district center. No, sorry, I can't remember the exact bid. There are 21 bids in LA, but one of their bids said that in her district, there were 325 buildings and all had been damaged in some capacity over the course of the summer. And actually when the Dodgers won the World Series, there was a little bit more damage as well. And so we went into a conversation about how opportunistic violence can come from people who are celebrating as well as people who are protesting, which I thought was a really interesting characteristic. So we'll be having some representatives from the city of SLO talking about how our city is preparing for this week. And I think that we are in a much different position than those areas, but it is just always interesting to hear about how things are going across the country. Our board of directors will be meeting next Tuesday at 7:30, and we're looking forward to that meeting. We've been planning for a little mid-year budget review for our organization in our austerity mode, and we'll also be talking about the board nominations as I referenced earlier today. So thank you to all of you. I'll look forward to seeing you bright and early next Tuesday. We have an amazing fundraising raffle that the board has taken on this year as a way to help raise some money for our programs since our events are not in operation. And I just want to take a minute to say, oh my gosh, thank you so very much to all of the businesses who've stepped up and donated. We didn't expect to have this many prizes actually. And it's kind of amazing. Our downstairs meeting room table where we're used to having 18 or 20 people gather at a time is now taken over by gift bags and prize boxes. We have some amazing prizes. We've sold 6,500 worth of ticket sales so far. We have more to sell, and there's a little slideshow of just some of the prizes. Our raffle committee, which consists of Laura Mullen, Stephanie Stackhouse, Mary Alice Hamilton, Landy Fike, and Sarah Vaskov have just gathered some amazing prizes. So thank you to all of your board members for selling your tickets. And if you would like some tickets, you can call our office at 805-234-9678. And the reason that we have to have those ticket sales take place over the phone is that we are actually a nonprofit organization that has a raffle license with the state of California. And so the state of California does not allow for online ticket sales, because if you do that, then you are considered an online gambling operation, which we are not. We are a business association, and we're here to work for you. So we'll have our first drawing for this raffle. There will be 4 drawings, and the first will be this Saturday, November 7th. And you will have the chance to win a one-night stay at the luxurious Slow Brew Lofts. And then you can have dinner at Flower House. You can have coffee and some goodies from Linnea's, and also have a bottle of wine to share in your hotel room. We also have dinner and wine pairing for 4 at Giuseppe's. Boo Boo Records, go record shopping, get some flowers. We have, again, more wine, some fabulous jewelry, coffee, some holiday gifts from Blackwater and from Eco Bambino to get your holiday shopping off right. So please buy a ticket, support your downtown, and tell your friends about it. We would really appreciate it. Up next, we are working hard at our new holiday offerings for this year. So obviously, we all know that we're not going to be doing the holiday parade this year, and instead we are focusing our energy and our enthusiasm toward lighting up the downtown. And this is a really exciting moment for us. The city is investing some extra funding, and we'll be working with one of the businesses in our downtown district, Carson Butler Events, to do a massive light up downtown celebration. And what this is going to look like is there will be Santa's house flying in from the North Pole to land in Mission Plaza. We're still trying to figure out if there will be any visitation, or if Santa will just be making an appearance from behind a plexiglass. But there will be a letter drop-off at Santa's house, and when you send in your letter, you can expect to get a letter back this year. So that's a fun thing that we're adding this year. We will have a 20-foot tall holiday tree, and there will be additional really fun light up activations that we'll be telling you about on future calls. So stay tuned for that. We are asking you all to participate in a major way this year. Over the past 10, 15 years, our organization has done a window decorating contest, and I want to thank all of those of you who are on the call who have participated in the judging of that contest in the years past. But this year we're focusing less on the contest and more on the content. So we're really asking each of you to light up your windows, go big, decorate like your local economy depends upon it, and really look for motion and lights in the windows. We're going to be kicking off the holiday season on Saturday, November 28th, which is Small Business Saturday and Shop Small Saturday. So we'll be talking more about that next week. We are also partnering with the SLO Children's Museum, who have put together a really fun scavenger hunt and family activity that will lead families around downtown and showcase various cultural institutions and lead them by various shops so that they can enjoy and explore our downtown. So we'll be sending information about how you can sign up to participate in this program, and we're super excited about working with a local downtown business to really light up our downtown this year. So with that, let's go into the COVID-19 reality. I'm going to invite Rachel Maiorino, our COO, to take over at this moment. Rachel?
Thank you, Bettina. As of Friday, 4,298 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in SLO County, and the city of SLO accounts for 827 of those. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 has remained at 32 in the county. We're thankful that it's remaining, but our thoughts are with those loved ones, the 32 individuals. Testing is available, and as we continue to mention, it's been crucial in being able to adjust our numbers. You can learn more about testing at readyslo.org. And as you may have seen in the news, the surge nationwide has exceeded the summer peaks, and many European countries are beginning to re-enter their lockdowns. And as we move into the next slide, in terms of our county, we are remaining in Tier 2, the substantial or red tier of the state's blueprint for a safer economy, and those metrics are released every Tuesday. So tomorrow there may be an update, and Lee will be able to share a little bit more about the specifics of what that looks like going forward. And with that, Bettina, I will turn it back over to you.
Great, thanks very much, Rachel. Up next, we're going to invite Cal Polly to come and share with us. So Courtney, are you out there today?
I am.
Hello.
Right here. Hi. Good morning, everybody, and thanks as always for having me. I always look forward to these meetings and talking with you all, and want to reiterate Bettina's effort to encourage you all to buy raffle tickets, because it's a really big deal for our businesses and being able to support them. So I'm also on the board. To start us off, here are the hard numbers. As of Friday, we had a total of 259 positive COVID-19 cases since early July. And as a reminder, these are on and off-campus students who have tested at our on-campus location. So it does not include those tested through the county sites or private sites. We have 12 students in isolation currently on campus, 35 in quarantine, and 131 in quarantine in place. As I have mentioned the past few weeks, we put a lot of effort into creating and promoting virtual options around Halloween this past weekend, working really closely with the city of SLO, and a big thank you and shout out to them for all of their support, the police department particularly. I just received the official report from over the weekend, and it looks like for the most part those efforts were successful, with a weekend that tracked similarly to other non-holiday weekends in the recent past in terms of citations. With Halloween behind us and only 14 school days left until students transition to all virtual classes, head home for Thanksgiving, and then are strongly encouraged to remain there until January 4th. We are turning our attention to messaging around travel to and then back from Thanksgiving and the winter holiday break. You all know all the messages, but strongly encouraging face masks and face coverings, 6 feet distancing, washing hands, avoiding gatherings, and just the importance of doing all those things and being really vigilant as students are thinking about their loved ones and family that they're going to be seeing, and then also our community as they transition back in January. The residence halls close completely on November 21st, so in just a few weeks. We are going to have a testing requirement again, similar to the fall. When students come back for move-in, they are not allowed to move in until noon on January 3rd, the day before classes start. And the plan for winter quarter, which still needs to be approved, is to have about the same percentage of classes, so about 12% in person, and to continue with extensive ongoing testing on campus. We hope that, we don't think that right at the beginning, but within a few weeks of the start of classes, we hope to be able to start conducting the saliva testing, which increases our capacity for tests to thousands and thousands a day. And then the wastewater testing also, which is looking like it'll take a little bit even longer than that, but eventually will happen, and then really increase our capacity. Keeping you up to speed on another campaign, those of you on social media might start to see that we are launching an effort to help promote the use of face masks. It's called #MaskUpMustangs, and it comes complete with prizes given out for those enthusiastic mask wearers. And then fall commencement 2020 is going to take place on Saturday, December 5th. It's entirely virtual. And then just a final note, I was listening to Bettina give the update, and it sounds like we'll hear more about what the city of SLO is planning in terms of elections. But President Armstrong sent a note to campus this morning, and I really appreciated it. So I thought I'd share just a quick snippet of it with you. And so here it is. Today's opponents may be tomorrow's allies. And either way, they are still our neighbors, coworkers, friends, and fellow citizens. When we treat people as them, we often don't treat them as well as we should. When we treat them as people, we usually do better. So with that, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm very interested in the saliva testing. When is that going to ramp up? Did you say specifically? You're muted.
Sorry. We think that that'll happen about 2 weeks after the start of the quarter. And it's been fascinating for me to watch and learn how we're able to do that. We have very quickly set up a federally tested and approved saliva testing lab on campus. So it's just been amazing. Our epidemiology team and our medical professionals have all jumped in really quickly to get this set up and approved. And so, yeah, we think it's going to be mid-January when that is completely ready to go for our campus community to be able to move through that.
And are the results quicker than a traditional swab test?
Well, our swab testing has been, for the most part, we're getting back to people with at least within 24 hours. And so I think that it'll be actually really similar.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I've been tested a couple of times at the Vets Hall, and it usually takes 3 to 5 days. So those rapid results are really critical. I hope that maybe the saliva testing can be expanded to civilians one day. Great. Well, thank you very much, Courtney. We appreciate you being on this, and you've also been doing a killer job selling raffle tickets. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we're going to invite Greg Herman from the City of San Luis Obispo to tell us a little bit about what's going on this week. Greg is also the liaison to our board of directors. Good morning, Greg.
Thanks, Bettina. Thanks for having us. Happy to be here. Hello to everybody. So I wanted to just talk a little bit more about this weekend. A few folks have already alluded to it, but provide some additional details from our perspective at the city, and then talk a little bit about the plans for this week. So first and foremost, we had a really good holiday weekend. And so a huge thanks and appreciation to everyone in the community, our community members, and our local businesses. For following the guidelines and helping to keep everybody safe. In terms of our downtown area, we did not have any public health calls for service to the downtown. We had a handful out in the neighborhoods, but as was mentioned earlier, it was much more on par with a regular weekend in the city, and certainly a lot less than we would typically see on a holiday weekend, especially for Halloween. We did have a couple of businesses in the downtown, restaurants and bars, opt to close early. That is a decision that we really respect and appreciate. I do want to clarify there's a couple stories that was something that businesses were asked to do. And that wasn't the case. The businesses made that decision entirely on their own. And like we said, it's certainly something that we respect and appreciate, but it was a decision that they opted to make. In terms of this week, so we are prepared and ready for tomorrow to help facilitate the election process for our community. We've got a number of different plans in place, and we also have plans in place should there be any sort of large protests or demonstrations. We're ready to move forward with those plans to help keep all members of our community safe, but I do want to emphasize that we don't have any information at this time that would lead us to think that we need to put those plans in place. So it's just something that we do to make sure that we're planned and that we are ready to go, but it's not something that we have any information that we'll need to move forward on with it at this time. For folks who want regular updates, I encourage you to follow the city on social media, or you can sign up for e-notification on the city's website. And if there is any need that we need to communicate directly with the downtown businesses, that's something that we'll do as we've done in the past.
Great, thank you very much. Very happy to hear about the weekend going so well. That's very good news. So I think if anybody is not on the business notification list that Greg mentioned, maybe you could put a link in the chat for how to sign up for those notifications, because you should sign up for those as well. That would be really great. And we will continue to keep you all posted. We stay in touch with you all actually primarily through Instagram these days. That's a really good way of reaching folks. And so if you do not follow us on Instagram, I recommend following us, Downtown SLO. So thank you very much, Greg. And up next, we're going to have another speaker from the city, Lee Johnson, Interim Director of Economic Development. Good morning. How are you, Lee?
Good, Bettina. How about you?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so just real quick, we kind of touched on it last week, and Rachel touched on it a little bit earlier today. We had pretty good numbers last Tuesday. So the adjusted number of 4.0 per 100,000 for the case rate is at the very, very bottom of substantial. So if we can take a 0.1 off of that, we get into the moderate tier, which is orange. And if we can stay there 2 weeks in a row, that would allow more business to open, more ability for people to have activities inside, all of those kind of things. So we are trending in the right direction. We've had some case counts over the last few days that may not be so good. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out tomorrow. And if we can stay in substantial or go to orange, that would be great. If by chance we go back above the 7 on that case rate, then we would have to get below that again the following week to stay in the red. There's also the opportunity with the new healthy equity quartile that if we're able to keep that in good shape, it can keep us from going backwards. But we still have to keep the case counts down and keep working to move ahead. And just so everyone's aware, these numbers trail by about 2 weeks. So what's coming out tomorrow would have been from through the 24th of October. And then they'll have what's through last week come out next week. So we trend a little bit behind on that, but so far things are going in the right direction. Hopefully we keep going that way as long as we all keep doing our part. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate you reminding everybody that the figures we're hearing are about numbers that are lagging, right? I think we all kind of get confused about that. So I just was hoping maybe you could say it one more time. I know we had some high case counts on Thursday and Friday last week. How does that affect our?
That will be next Tuesday's numbers. So the numbers we're getting tomorrow would be back through the week that ended the 24th of October.
So we won't know about those high case counts until the 7th.
Until the 7th. And then for Halloween, because the lag in the people of the disease presenting itself, plus the lag in testing, we won't see that for 3 or 4 weeks, right? So it really runs pretty far behind. It runs behind what we get reported in the community. So it's kind of hard to keep those two things linked. The other challenge is we report them when they're identified as cases through the test, so we get a positive test. That's how the county reports them. The state counts them based on when they believe the infection occurred. So we could get a positive test result today that's Bettina 3 days old, that the onset of symptoms was 5 days before that. And then that's the date the state would use as the date. So there's a lot in there, and then testing adjusted down further and some other things. So we have a pretty good idea, and we can take pretty educated guesses, but the numbers that come out every Tuesday, sometime between 11 and 11:30, are interesting and generally new to me as they come out. So that's how it goes.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. And I just want to open it up at this moment. If anybody has any questions, I have another question, but I'm just wondering if the other 31 people who are on the call are finding this as challenging as I am. My question for you, Lee, is, I'm seeing some nodding heads. My question for you, Lee, is what is the primary difference between the red tier and the orange tier? If we move into the orange tier, what would be allowed?
So funny you should ask that. I have it open on my screen right now. So the big one is, or it's mostly changes in capacity. So shopping centers and malls go from max 50% capacity to full capacity, except for food courts. Museums, zoos, aquariums go to 50% indoor capacity from 25. Places of worship go up to 50% capacity. Movie theaters go to 50% capacity. Hotels, their fitness centers go to 25%. Gyms and regular fitness centers get to go up to 25%, and they get their indoor pools. Restaurants get to 50% capacity. Wineries get to move indoors with 25%. And then kind of bars can go back to outdoors with some modifications. So some of the food stuff may go away. And then family entertainment centers get to actually open. So like our escape rooms, things like that that haven't been able to open, get to open with 25% capacity. And then offices who are not essential get to open while still encouraging telework, but they can be in there. And that's the big ones. And I will drop the link to that dimmer framework in the chat so everyone can see it.
Great. Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Lee? Nope. You're all experts.
I have a quick question, Bettina, for Lee.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is Lorelai. Hey, no, hey, Lee, quick question about education and elementary schools, K through 12. I just youth sports, you know, you and I are both youth sports junkies. What do they have different rules that they need to kind of adhere to when it comes to this? I keep seeing, you know, people at McCarthy's socially distanced, outdoors, doing their thing, but I'm really curious when it comes to schools. There's such stringent regulations. Do you know, as a city official, do you know what they're, you know, why they're inhibited still with allowing kids to participate fully in youth sports, even if they're outdoors and it's conditioning? I just can't get my head around, you know, the constraints, you know, when it comes to youth sports and children.
The state came out with their guidelines on youth sports and the cohorts and how that program has to work, and the county is following those guidelines. And then the county themselves, schools are allowed to be open K through 12, subject to sign off by the public health office. And Dr. Bornstein updates in her press conferences where the various school districts stand and what they're doing. I think some of the larger ones are looking at their plans to go back. But it really, the guidelines are up on the county side and the state side, and they're kind of separate from what we do at the city. It's really between the county and the school districts and what they agree to, what their plans are. And I think a lot of the school districts, at least like San Luis Coastal, is like you can go as far as the guidelines, but you can be more strict. So I think like San Luis Coastal is being a little more strict than what they're allowed to do under the guidelines. In their judgment, it's a safer way to do it, and they can still accomplish what they're trying to accomplish with youth sports. So it's kind of not directly what we do. I see it and I hear it on the updates from Dr. Bornstein, but I don't get too deeply locked into it because it's kind of outside our scope. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you, Lorelai.
No, that's a good answer. Thank you.
That was a good question. Yeah, I live over by the Damon Garcia field, and I noticed that there were some soccer players out there on Saturday, and I thought, oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know that was happening again, but I guess it is.
And then I see Patty's question as far as the arts and the guidelines. Dr. Bornstein mentioned on the call last Tuesday, or on the press conference last Tuesday, that they're in discussions with the state. The state is working on kind of the arts plan or wrapping that into the blueprint that they have, and then laying out what's possible in each tier. So that's kind of the county spearheading that with the state, and hopefully we get some information on that. Probably not this week, but maybe next week.
Great. Thank you. And I know there's been some really great advocacy work done by the performing arts groups in SLO County, including some really good press coverage they've gotten, as well as a letter that included some recommended guidelines for them to consider adopting.
Just so we're all clear, that advocacy has to take place at the state level. That's where the guidelines are coming from. And I think in case everyone doesn't know, like personal services, salons, barbershops, they were able to advocate on a bunch of different issues. The most recent one was that they're allowed to be open even in the purple tier. So previously they weren't, but now they are. So that's where the advocacy has to take place. That's where the guidelines are coming from. Once we get that clarity from the state, then we can look at what's possible within the county and the city.
Thank you very much. All right, that was a little bit of an interview for you, Lee, but we really appreciate your paying attention to it at such a keen level. It helps us all frame it. So thank you. And with that, let's go into our next report, which is going to be from our friends at the Chamber. So good morning, Jim. How are you today?
Great, Bettina. Good seeing you. Thanks for having us. Just a quick kind of rundown first. I think one of the things we want to highlight is we still have our applications open. If you are a member of the Chamber, you can be on our committees. If you have not had a chance to apply, our deadline here is November 6th. These are our committees that help shape our policies, help us think through membership and how we can best serve. So certainly we'd love to have everybody getting on those, looking through whether they are our legislative action, what are the policies we're dealing with, economic development, how should we help kind of our business group and get through this and look into the future. Or maybe it's just like the ambassadors where you're connecting our folks. These are all committees, and if you're a member of the Chamber, you can apply to be on them, and those start in January. And so we're really looking forward to next year, because obviously there's going to be who knows what the next days hold for us, months, and hopefully at some point here we'll get some stability and start to plan forward. Also, we have just launched our State of the State event, which will be on November 17th from 3 to 4:30, of course, on Zoom. Normally we'd do this in person. We have some really great speakers to kind of talk to us a little bit about what just happened in the election from a state level. You know, what are we looking at in terms of what impacts might there be from passage of measures, the elections that happen, national, how does that all impact us? So getting great speakers to talk about it, and hopefully you'll join us, because it's always a really interesting event. We take questions from the audience, and these folks are all from both sides of the aisle and down the middle from political reporting. So it should be a really fun, interesting event. Love to have you kind of join us there. And then just so one day to go, we have our voter guide is still out. And in case you haven't voted yet, please go, please make your plan to vote tomorrow, or drop off your ballot. You can click over and see our voter guide on how we think, obviously we don't endorse individuals and people running, but for those propositions and measures, obviously, you know, as it affects downtown, and the folks at downtown SLO know how important Measure G is. We've just been really banging that drum to make sure it gets out and that folks go vote. So we're certainly happy to give you some thoughts as it relates to that. And just finally, I'll wrap up right on the conversation that Bettina and Lee were having, and everybody, you know, from a regional chambers perspective, we are actually ready to kind of spread some video and discussion about, you know, from our analysis, as we just look at numbers, you know, we're getting pretty nervous that, let alone we may not be moving forward, we could actually slide backwards. It's been great, and I think one of the things we need to focus on, it's something that Courtney touched on, that Lee's touched on, that all the testing we're doing is helping make our numbers fit to closer to that side, like we're doing well. When college students go away, and if that testing number drops, that balance that is created might be problematic and swing us back the other direction. So to the point of everybody being confused about how it is, we were ready to put out a video for the whole county from all of our chambers to talk about people to stay vigilant. We still make that argument. We haven't put that out because we don't want it to sound like, well, we're almost going forward. So why would we talk about a backsliding? But just to let you know, we're really concerned about the drop in testing numbers. So as we get into past the college going out, we have, as a group, need to be vigilant and keep banging the drum on testing. and making sure people are doing all the right work to keep us open and hopefully not be ill. So that's all we're working on specifically from the chamber side.
Yeah, Jim, I'm really glad you brought that up. That's a very interesting point, and it's certainly something that we're thinking about a lot too. It's for those of you who might not be living in the COVID numbers every day, as we move into the colder months and we're watching what's happening in the northern part of the U.S. as the numbers are just rising and rising. We need to really understand that this is a toggle switch, and I think the governor has been really clear about that. But it's challenging because sometimes those of us who are participating in these calls and engaged at this level have a deeper understanding than just average person out there who might be having dinner at a parklet or just going to the grocery store. So the best we can do is to help spread this information. That's not a good word during the pandemic, but disseminate this information and have honest conversations with our friends and family. So thank you very much. All right, up next, we have another representative from the city of SLO. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite downtown topic, parking. Good morning, Gavin. How are you today?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, welcome.
Happy Monday. I hope everyone's doing well. So I meant to be on the call last week and kind of give an update after our first week of fees and the structures. So we're starting our week 3 now. We've had 2 full weeks of fees returning at the parking structures since October 19th. Mondays continue to be our slowest day. We're averaging about 43% on Mondays, last 2 Mondays. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays are mid-50s. And then Thursday through Saturday have been averaging about 75% occupancy across all 3 structures. So we are seeing a huge utilization of the structures still as we get closer towards the weekend and through the beginning part of the weekend. So that's great news. Hopefully it's showing up with people shopping and dining downtown. We believe it is, and it's not just strictly employees. So that's good for us. We are offering the first 2 hours free in the structures until December 31st. So that's a change from our old practice of 1 hour free. And what we're seeing is the majority of our customers are within that 2 hour window. So they're short stays in downtown and primarily not staff and people working in downtown. So there is a percentage that is staff and that are working, but the majority are under the 2 hours, which is great to see. The short visits, people are coming and shopping. So we are considering extending that 2 hour block through the end of January. We'll be sending a city manager report, I believe, end of this week or beginning of next week, requesting to extend that through the end of January. In addition, we're also requesting to offer free parking in the structures on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, all the Sundays in December, and then we'll be asking to close our structures on the 24th through the 27th. So Christmas weekend, ideally would be free in the parking structures. So that is our hope, that we're able to offer that to our community and help support them. And I hopefully be able to report back in 2 weeks and with a positive answer on that.
That's wonderful, Gavin. Thank you very much for supporting the businesses and advocating for some additional free parking. And it's good to hear about the usage in the structures as well. I'm curious if you have any year-over-year usage, and if you can see like if the farmers market numbers on Thursday night would affect that. You don't have to answer me right now, just kind of curious.
Yeah, so we did look at that a couple of weeks ago. The farmers market numbers for Thursdays prior to COVID were much stronger than the 75%. So influx in the community on that Thursday evening has always been great. So it's not as high, but it is pretty good. Yeah.
Got it. Great. Does anybody have any questions for Gavin? I see some members of our parking committee on here. Oh. Okay. Well, great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
No worries. Hopefully the report back in 2 weeks.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that. All right, up next, we have welcomed 2 of our downtown ambassadors, Jennifer and Yadvir. You may have seen them out in the community. Jennifer is working today and Yadvir works mornings during the week. And this is a shot from our downtown cleanup day. Jennifer actually just texted me a few minutes ago and said yesterday, both Jennifer and Yadvir were working in the post-Halloween day, and they removed 27 pounds of trash from the downtown just yesterday. So glad they are out and about, and they are tracking some really great metrics you can see here. And we're really happy that they're settling into their new roles. And they just finished their first month of service with us. So that's great news. All right, we are cooking today. Our downtown dine out program continues in Mission Plaza. We have some wonderful chairs and umbrellas. Those hours will be from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I recommend it as a great place to go and meet for a cup of coffee, take some takeout. It's always a pleasant day, especially today. It looks like it's going to be beautiful out there. We have produce boxes available. This is a little substitution if you're missing the farmer's market. If you order by Sunday, you can pick up your box here at the Downtown SLO office on Thursdays from 12 to 7 and recommend it. They have some wonderful produce. And we're going to move into our polls, our weekly polls today. So Rachel, if you could go ahead and start those. This is our chart that shows the range of how people are doing, if they're feeling confidence about the economic well-being. Sometimes this is all over the map. It being an election week, maybe people are a little more anxious. Maybe they're more optimistic. Maybe you haven't had enough coffee to have an opinion yet. Maybe you're really hopped up on Halloween candy and you're feeling good about that. Okay, we're looking like we're pretty, the results are coming through here, and you can see that light blue line is the somewhat optimistic. You guys were feeling really down last week, so I'm not sure what that was about, but hopefully we'll see a little bit of a change this week. If you have closed the screen or in your email or something right now, if you want to come back to Zoom and fill out this poll. And if you're watching on Facebook, sorry, we don't have an ability to do the Facebook simultaneously. All right, looks like we've gotten a good amount of votes here, so we'll share the results. All right, you are pretty evenly split today between somewhat optimistic and somewhat pessimistic and neutral. But the good news is that no one is very optimistic or very pessimistic. So welcome to the beautiful middle place. This is the middle place. And when we're ready, Rachel, let's go to the next one. And this is our, what is the biggest challenge facing your business today? The clear winner in this category has been that uncertain consumer confidence, which unsurprisingly, I think will continue to be the thing that we do not know and the thing that we don't know how to trust, especially in light of the indications that there will be no additional federal relief coming. So not sure how that's making people feel. And as the COVID cases are surging nationwide, if that will maybe make some people retreat more. We're hoping that indoors, when we might start to move indoors with the chill, that we can stay safe and still have some good economic activity. About half of you have voted. If you want to chime in one more time. And let's see what you've got here. All right, I think we're finished up with this one. And again, yes, uncertain consumer confidence is the clear winner. So sorry to hear that 15% of you are seeing a lack of foot traffic and customers. And we're doing our best to make sure people have access. I think having safe parking and accessible parking is really a big part of that. Also the messages about health and safety in our downtown and making sure that downtown is clean and safe for people to be in. So this concludes the polls, and I'll show these results to you now. Hopefully all of you are staying healthy, and really relieved to hear about the positive weekend. We were all a little nervous going into Halloween that it might be just a crazy party scene. So at this time, I think it is 10:45, and we're going to open it up for any questions that you may have. I've seen some really great conversations in the chat. I'll give you another reminder. If you are on the board of directors, we look forward to seeing you at 7:30 next Tuesday morning. We will, of course, have our regular Monday call next week on November 6th, and we will know some results of the election at that time. So it'll be, hopefully, we will know some results of the election. I think we will. I think we will. And I hope that you all have a really great week. If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself at this time. If you have not yet purchased a raffle ticket for our wonderful raffle, please call our office. And thanks to all of you for your dedication and devotion to our downtown. We appreciate you very much. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Reach us at downtownslo.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and we're at 1135 Choro. So come see us and say hello. Thank you, everybody.